As a professional painter, here's how long I wait for each stage of my painting to dry from start to finish.
So the surface prep to the varnish. I often see artists skipping or rushing the drying times, but you've got to have patience if you want each layer of your painting to do its job. The first layer I put on a raw canvas or wood panel is called a size. A size is a really important sealing layer that protects the surface and the paint from each other. You can use acrylic mediums or PVA size, but I use 2 layers of GAC 100, which I leave to dry for about 3 days. Then I apply 3 layers of acrylic gesso primer. The number of layers depends on the brand, and if you're careful to add enough layers, it can also act as a size. I wait about 1 to 2 days between coats of gesso or before applying acrylic paint on top, but I wait at least 2 weeks to a month before I use oils. A lot of people don't realize that acrylic paint and gesso actually has 2 stages of drying. Acrylics tend to be touch dry within seconds to a day or so, and many people assume that the paint is done at this point, but it actually takes about a week, even a month or more depending on the thickness, for acrylics to be fully cured. And the adhesion and hardness of the paint aren't at their best until this point. And any acrylic products or varnish that you add too early can end up looking milky or dull. A lot of information about acrylic drying doesn't account for this second stage. And if you want to add oils over any acrylic paint or gesso, it's really important to wait for the second stage of drying. Famously, oil paints take a lot longer to dry than acrylics, but it still shocks a lot of people to learn that it can take an average of 6 months for an oil painting to be fully cured. But it's a little confusing because an oil paint can feel dry a lot sooner. So when I use oils, I think of the drying in 3 stages. Within a few days or weeks, your painting is going to be unsmudgeable, but it takes a lot longer for it to be at the next stage, which is when it's fully touch dry. This is the point where if you dug your fingernail into the thickest part of the painting, it wouldn't leave a mark. You should be able to ship and exhibit the painting at this stage, and you can use some varnishes. But it's best practice to wait the average 6 months for your painting to be fully cured before you varnish. Otherwise, the varnish won't be a removable protective layer, which is the whole point of using it. And finally, when I use the varnish itself, I typically wait 24 to 48 hours for it to dry. If you want to learn more art tips, don't forget to like and subscribe.